Welcome to another episode of the Vision Clarity Leadership Podcast. My name is Seth Lorda, and I'll be your leadership coach for the next few moments, helping you become a high-performance leader and really a high-performance individual who is living and leading a high-performance life. We are on a mission with this podcast to help every person see themselves as a leader and to help every individual live an extraordinary life and to equip you with everything you need in order to accomplish the vision that God has given you. And so each week we provide free tools and resources that you can expand your leadership capacity so you can live and lead with a big, bold, courageous vision that will inspire your team and change the world. If you find this content valuable, I'll be so honored if you would write a review or rate the content wherever you consume it. And please subscribe. I'm always shooting for a 5-star review, and would also mean so much to me if you would share this content with your friends, your family, your colleagues, and even your team. We're on a journey to build a community of visionaries with this podcast, so you sharing this content is one of the best ways to help us do that. In this episode, we're going to dive into what I like to call the 7 laws of success in life and in leadership. You know, we live in a world that is governed by laws. There are laws all around us, and I'm not talking about human laws or moral laws. I'm talking about the laws of nature. Gravity, for example, is one law that you do not want to violate. It is a law that says what goes up must come down. And if you're crazy enough to violate that law, it will not work out in your favor. And so what's interesting about universal laws is that they apply to all people in every place, in every region, no matter your background, your demographics, your ethnicity, your gender, no matter what family you were born into, what country you were born into. These universal laws apply to all people across all ages, throughout the entire world and all times. And I believe that there are other laws, just like the law of gravity, that are also universal laws. And I want to share 7 of those laws that I believe are universal and that can really determine whether or not you experience success as a leader, success as an individual, success as a parent or as a coach or as an entrepreneur or as an employee. No matter what domain you are in or how you try to apply these principles or these laws to your life, if you follow them and if you leverage them for your benefit, it will lead to success in every domain. And so we're going to dive in, and I would just ask that if you find this episode helpful, that you would please share it with family and friends, because I know it has the ability and the potential to be transformational. So the first law of success that I want to share with you is, in my opinion, a foundational law, and that is law number 1: you are in control of your life. This law is what we call the law of control, that ultimately you are in control of everything that you decide to do and to experience. You are the architect of your life. No one else is in control. And the reason why this for me is a foundational law is because so many of us, we live our lives as though we are not in control. We blame our bosses, we blame our parents, we blame our spouses, we blame our children, we blame circumstances. We blame racism, we blame prejudices, we blame the government, we blame everyone else for why we cannot do what we want to do, as though we are the victim. Now, this law does not suggest that you have never been victimized. No, I'm aware and I am sensitive to the reality that some of you watching this have been victimized. You've been taken advantage of. Things have happened to you outside of your control that you did not want to happen to you. Maybe it was something that happened when you were growing up as a child. Maybe you made some decisions, some friends did some things, and you found yourself getting the short end of the stick and you were the victim. Many individuals go through life having experienced victimization before, where they have been victimized. However, what I want to be really clear about and careful with is that just because I might have been victimized, it doesn't mean that I am a victim. Being victimized is something that has happened to me in my past. What I'm talking about really is how you are looking at your future. That if you can assume this mindset that says, you know what, I am in control of my life. I am not the victim. I am the creator, and I can create and architect the type of life that I want. It really places you in the driver's seat so that now there's no more excuses. There's no more reason why you can't do what you want to do. You have agency, you have creativity, you have abilities. You are not a victim. A lot of times we find ourselves blaming other people or blaming other circumstances, whether it's at work. You might say, you know what, the reason why our team didn't hit the metrics is because I have bad employees. And you are blaming your employees, you're blaming your team for why your company or why your unit didn't hit their KPIs this quarter. That is a victim mentality. Or you might be at work and your boss might be really micromanager. He might or she might be oppressive. They are always on you. They don't give you the empowerment. They don't give you the grace. They don't give you the resources that you need. And you're saying, man, I would be so much better. I would be more successful if it wasn't for my boss. While that might be true that you have an oppressive boss, you are still in control. You can decide whether or not you stay there or whether or not you leave. You are not the victim. And so this first law of success really is foundational because what it tries to communicate is that no matter what you go through in life, no matter where you are in your family, your marriage, your job, your personal, professional life, you are always in control. Now, I'm aware that there are individuals who feel like, you know what, I hear what you're saying, but you just don't understand. And if you are one of those people and you're saying you just don't understand, what you're admitting to me and really to yourself is that you are subjected to an external locus of control, that you are experiencing an external locus of control rather than experiencing an internal locus of control. You see, people who experience an external locus of control, they actually believe that their state in life is something that is beyond their control. It's external to them. They can't control their success. They can't control their destiny. They are subject to other people's influences. But those individuals with an internal locus of control, they believe that their destiny and their success and their status in life is totally within their control and that they have the control and it comes from within. And so what I want you to do is I want you to move from having an external locus of control to having an internal locus of control where you can say to yourself, you know what? Yes, I might be in an unfortunate set of circumstances, but it's my choice if I choose to stay here. It's my choice if I choose to allow this boss, this micromanager, these employees, this situation to determine what I am able to do to the success I desire to experience in life. Now, I get it. Some of you all might be saying, well, I'm in between a rock and a hard place. I have to work. I have bills. I have family. I'm a single parent. There's things that I can do and that I cannot do. I have these deadlines, these goals, and I get all of that. But even still, with all of those competing priorities and those conflicting priorities, you are still in control. Law number 2 simply says that before you work forward, you must work back. And this is really like the law of first things. And what it tries to communicate is that you have to really address the core issues or the foundational issues before you can work forward. Before you can go forward and accomplish the big, bold, courageous vision that you have for your life, you have to do some foundational work. You might have to work back before you can go forward. I was talking to a coach just this last week and they said to me, Seth, you have been building a floor of your skyscraper every single year of your life. You're 43 years old, so your skyscraper has 43 floors on it. And every year you're adding a new floor to that skyscraper. And they said something that really stunned me and shocked me and caused me to reflect. They said, now at 43, you're telling yourself, wow, I want the next 20, 25, 30 years of my life to be significantly different than the last 30 years of my life. You want to renovate floor number 43, and you want to make sure that from 43 on up, that those floors have gold plated this and porcelain marble plated that, and that it is just an elaborate experience on floor 43, 44, 45, and following. But they said something that was interesting. They said, If you try to renovate your current floor and the floors that come after you without going down and addressing the foundation, the renovation will never really hold. There will always be an unstable dynamic in your skyscraper that no matter what you do on the external, creating some type of cosmetic facelift to the external, because the foundation is off, your skyscraper will never be as extraordinary as you would like it to be. They said before you renovate floor number 43 and prepare to renovate floor number 44, you have to go down and fix the foundation. What they're essentially saying is before you work forward, you must work backward. There are some foundational beliefs and experiences that some of you have had that you have swept under the rug. There are things that have happened to you in your past that you have turned a blind eye to, that you have buried your head in the sand against. And inevitably, what will happen is those things will rear their ugly head and prevent you from truly having a phenomenal year 44 and year 45, because you can never escape your past. It is always right there with you. So what you have to do is you have to reconcile your past. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not suggesting that you need to go back and rehash and dig up things that have happened to you in your past. I'm not suggesting you need to go back and relitigate, hurts and injustices that have happened to you. I'm not suggesting that you need to go have conversations with people. But what I am suggesting is that you have to be at peace. That when you think about your past and the things of your past, you have to get to a point where you are totally at peace. You have released people of any debt that you feel they owe you. You have forgiven those who need to be forgiven. Now, mind you, forgiveness doesn't require you accepting it. I can forgive you without you even knowing that I forgave you. Forgiveness isn't a two-way conversation. It's how I release you from whatever debt I have been holding on to because of what you've done, the infraction that you have caused. So in order for you to move forward, you really have to do the hard work of releasing the people in your past and the situations and circumstances from the weight and the burden, not ignoring, not turning a blind eye towards those things, but being at peace, reconciling it within yourself and releasing it. Now, I'm aware that this might require some hard work. It might require some heart work. And in order to do that hard work, you might need a therapist. And I want to encourage you that you see someone so that you can properly work back so that you can work forward. If you don't work back before you work forward, as you go forward, there will be a ball around your ankle, a ball and chain around your ankle that is holding you from truly soaring and truly thriving. So law number 1 says, listen, you are in control of your life. Law number 2 says, before you work forward, you must work back. Law number 3 says that whatever you believe with conviction comes to reality. And I might be biased here, but this is one of my favorite laws because I love how this law of belief is really framed. It says what you believe with conviction, it will come to reality. Jesus himself said, be it unto you according to your faith. He's essentially saying that if you believe this thing and you truly believe it, whatever you believe, it will be done unto you. Now, I know that there may be some people who say to themselves, well, I believe a lot of things, and I believe I was going to get the job. I believed I was going to get the contract. I believe I was going to win the bid and get the promotion, and I really believed it, and it did not happen. So this law of belief does not work. And I want to say to you that you may have confused the law of belief with desire. A lot of times we do that. We look at something we want to accomplish and we say, wow, I want that. I believe I can get it. But it's really not belief. It's just desire. And this law doesn't say that the things that you desire, you will actually get. It says what you believe with conviction, it will come to reality. And the reason why it says what you believe with conviction is because if you truly believe it with conviction, that belief will manifest itself in action. You see, desires don't manifest themselves in action. Desires just manifest themselves in wishes and dreams and hopes and aspirations. But belief with conviction manifests itself in action. I believe that the person that I met, 13, 14 years ago was going to be my wife. And so I took action. I said, man, I think she's the one. I believe that she's the one. It wasn't a desire of mine, right? I wasn't like, man, I desire her to be my wife. No, I believed, man, I just met the woman that I think I'm going to marry. And because I believed it, I took action. So when you think about your work and when you think about your life, what this law says is if you really believe something and you believe it with conviction, you will put forth the required action that something demands in order for you to obtain it. So if you believe with conviction that you're going to get the job or the promotion or the contract or the raise, you will put forth the required action in order for it to happen. The action, that goal, that reward, that target, that vision requires in order for you to obtain it. You see, my wife, she required certain things of me in order for me to have her hand in marriage. I had to put forth the action. And so I love this law because it really helps us to differentiate between what we desire and what we truly believe. If you really believe something, you will act. If you believe that your employees really are capable, then you will resource them, you will support them, you will do everything you can in your power in order for them to succeed. But if you just desire them to do a good job, but you don't resource them, you don't support them, then you really don't believe with conviction that they are able to do the work. This law really is a revealer of what's at our core. It helps us differentiate between what we desire and what we truly believe. So law number 1 says you are in control of your life. Law number 2 says before you work forward, you must work back. Law number 3 says what you believe with conviction, it will become a reality. Law number 4 says what you expect with confidence becomes your own self-fulfilling prophecy. And this is the law of expectation. And I like this law as well because what this law says is my expectations really do drive and determine how I show up, the energy that I have, how I engage someone. My entire aura and self is a reflection of my expectations. If I walk up to someone and I'm expecting them to try to swing on me and knock me out, well, I'm going to be in a very defensive, negative position. But if I walk up to someone and I'm expecting them to give me a hug and a warm embrace, then I'm going to walk up to them with a smile on my face and my hand outstretched, waiting for that embrace. That what you expect with confidence, it becomes your own self-fulfilling prophecy. I've had individuals I've met with and coached who they go into a meeting and they expect the meeting to be hard, and then they're surprised when the meeting is hard. Well, you expected it to be hard. So if you expected it to be hard, why are you surprised when it actually meets your expectation? What I want you to do is to understand that, wow, if I want a better, more positive, transformational experience with someone, I need to change my expectations, both for myself and the situation. So I'm going into a meeting with an employee, and I know it might be a difficult meeting, but I'm going into that meeting with every expectation that this is going to be a phenomenal conversation. I'm expecting that they're going to hear me, I'm going to hear them, we're going to talk, we're going to wrestle with some issues, and at the end of it, we're going to be better, stronger, and more connected as a result of this conversation than before. I'm not going into this meeting expecting, man, this is going to be tough. They're not going to receive it. They're not going to want to hear what I have to say. They're probably going to give me a lot of pushback. They're going to probably resist what I have to say, and I'm most likely going to have to wind up firing them. I'm not going in with that level and that type of expectation. I'm going in with the expectation that this is going to be a phenomenal meeting, because what that belief does, what that expectation does, is it shifts my own energy. It shifts how I show up. It shifts the smile on my face, the demeanor, the posture that I present with. And as a result, it communicates a message to the person. It lowers their guard. And now we can have a truly transformational conversation. So what you expect actually becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is similar to what Henry Ford said when he said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That whatever you think, whatever you believe, whatever you expect, it most likely will come to pass. It, in fact, is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So law number 1 says you're in control of your life. Law number 2 says that you can't work forward before you work backward. Whatever you believe with conviction comes to reality. Law number 4 says what you expect with confidence becomes your own self-fulfilling prophecy. Law number 5 is actually the law of attraction. This law says that you will attract into your life the people, ideas, and circumstances that harmonize with your dominant thought. If your dominant thought is negative, you are going to attract negative people. If your dominant thought is positive, you will attract positive people. You are going to attract into your life whatever people, experiences, circumstances that harmonize with your dominant thought. This is no different than that old quote that says, your vibe attracts your tribe. That how you show up and the energy that you give off, it actually attracts like energy, like attracts like. In other words, birds of a feather flock together. Or the book of Amos says, can two walk together unless they be agreed? Your vibe attracts your tribe. This is the law of attraction. So if you want positivity flowing in your life, then you need to exude positivity out to others. If you are experiencing a lot of negativity, you have to look in the mirror and you have to ask yourself, is it possible that I am putting off a lot of negativity? Now, I know there's going to be someone out there who says, well, I'm putting off positivity and they just keep giving me negativity. It's not me, it's them. It just might be you, my friend. And I say that with all love and respect. If you're attracting negativity, it might just be because that's what you're putting out there in your own thoughts. You might not be mean to anyone. You might not be rude to anyone. You might not be cutting anyone off or cussing anyone out, but your dominant thought is negative. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Why doesn't this happen? Why me? Your dominant thought is that of a victim. And so you're naturally going to attract circumstances and situations and people into your life that is going to confirm that dominant thought. You know, your brain and my brain is a phenomenal organism. It is a phenomenal piece of tissue because what your brain is constantly trying to do is to confirm what you believe. So if you believe the world is negative, it's looking for evidence to confirm that negative belief. But if you believe that the world is positive, your brain is looking for evidence to confirm that belief. This is nothing more than the law of attraction. It is confirmation bias. You will confirm whatever you deeply believe. So law number 1 is you are in control of your life, the law of control. Law number 2 is the law of first things first. You can't work forward unless you first work backward. Law number 3 says whatever you believe with conviction comes to reality. That's the law of belief. Law number 4 says that whatever you expect with confidence becomes your own self-fulfilling prophecy. That's the law of expectation. Law number 5 is the law of attraction, which says you will attract into your life the people, ideas, and circumstances that harmonize with your dominant thought. And then law number 6 is your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. This is the law of correspondence. The law of correspondence says that if you cultivate peace, confidence, and clarity within, your external world will reflect these qualities. Conversely, your internal chaos or negativity is often reflected in the challenges you face in your environment. So if you want to master your outer world, the first thing you have to do is master your inner world. This is key to creating the outer life that you desire. You cannot create the outer life you desire without first mastering your inner world. It's the law of correspondence. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So if there is chaos and drama outside of you and around you, it's because there is chaos and drama inside of you. And if there is peace and clarity and compassion and kindness and grace inside of you, then there will be peace and clarity and kindness and grace and compassion around you. Now, this doesn't mean that, if you're a good person, bad things won't happen to you. We all know that we live in a world where bad things do happen to good people. We know that. But this is more general, a general principle that says we're not talking about a one-off situation. We're talking about a series of situations where if you find that you are constantly embroiled in drama and conflict and disagreements and arguments, something is going on inside of you. And this is not a judgment. This is not saying you're a bad person or you're wrong or somehow you have some psychological issues you need to deal with. No, because we have all been there. What this is simply saying is that this is a law, that your outer world wants to correspond with your inner world. And that if you want a better outer world, you must address the inner world. Now, just because you wake up one day and you say, I'm going to be positive and I'm going to be happy and I'm going to be optimistic and I'm going to just put out positive energy to everyone, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden everything around you is going to change. Now, it might, but we recognize that we're building floors. And for 43 years, I have built my skyscraper. For 43 years, I have interacted with people based off of a dominant thought, based off of some inner dimension, inner dynamics that are taking place, based off of my beliefs that I hold on to with conviction. And so just because I wake up one day and throw a new coat of paint on my life and say, see, I'm happy, I'm sunshiny, doesn't mean that automatically everything shifts. No, you have to do the hard work. This is both in life and in leadership, that if you want more success in leadership, you have to understand how these laws are at play. So law number 1 is a law of control. Law number 2 is a law of first things first. Law number 3 is a law of belief. Law number 4 is a law of expectation. Law number 5 is a law of attraction. Law number 6 is a law of correspondence. And finally, law number 7 is a law of polarity. And I really like this law because the law of polarity says there are always two sides to every situation, that there's never just one side. There's never just one pole. There is a North Pole and there is a South Pole. There is a good outcome and there is a bad outcome. Essentially, what this law says is if you find yourself, let's just say hypothetically, in a car accident, God forbid, you automatically think, oh no, I'm in a car accident. This is horrible. Now I need to find another car. I have a deductible. I have all these things that I have to do. And this is a pain. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. And you look at that car accident as a negative. Well, what the law of polarity says is that in every situation you find, there's not just all negative, but that with that negative, there is also a positive. Now, a lot of times when we face what appears to be a negative situation on the surface, it's hard for us to find and discover the silver lining of positive in that situation. So you got into a car accident. You're like, well, what positive could come out of this? Well, we don't know unless we explore, unless we're willing to take a step back and to engage what really is a good positive out of this. What did this negative situation teach me, possibly? Is there anything redemptive out of this horrible story or horrible situation I've been through? Even if it's as bad as you have been victimized or something horrible has happened to you. And yes, I don't wish any of those things upon anyone nor myself. And if you've gone through something horrible that's happened to you where someone may have taken advantage of you, my heart goes out to you and I pray that you experience the wholeness and the healing that is available to you. I also recognize that no matter how bad the situation, there is always a silver lining. Now, that doesn't mean that we jump off the bridge so that we can find that silver lining. No, I'm not going to put myself in harm's way just to discover the good. But when we find ourselves experiencing hardships and difficulty in life, what this law says is there's always another way of looking at it. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it's unfortunate. Yes, it's maybe even painful. But there's always another way of looking at it. The law of polarity says everything has two sides, and it teaches us that everything exists in duality. Every situation or experience has both a positive and a negative aspect, and these opposites are inherently connected and cannot exist without each other. So understanding this law helps you to see the value in challenges and setbacks, knowing they are intrinsically linked to opportunities and growth. Everything has a positive. These are the 7 laws: the law of control, the law of first things first, the law of belief, the law of expectation, the law of attraction, the law of correspondence, and the law of polarity. These are the 7 laws of success in both life and in leadership. That if you want to experience success in these areas and domains, understand these laws and understand how you can leverage them for your success. I would love to hear your feedback on this. You can always leave comments, or you can reach out to me on a direct message on Instagram or YouTube. And just let me know what you think. Which one of these is hardest for you to accept and to understand, or which one of these do you struggle with the most? I would love to hear your perspective. And again, thank you so much for engaging this episode. And if it was a blessing to you, I would just ask that you would like it, share it, and please subscribe. We're trying to create a community of visionaries who are living big, bold, courageous dreams and visions, and you sharing it is one way that we can create that community. And if you want more information about myself or about my company, you can always visit visionclarityconsulting.com. Thanks so much. Peace.